talk a little bit of NBA.
Yep.
You guys just brushed off the whole Lakers situation. Nah, it'll be okay. Bad pre-season.
It's not okay.
Well, try and tell the coach how okay it is.
Not okay.
And Nathan Chapman will also join us as well, former NFL punter, former AFL star. First two callers through on the line, 9429-1116 for our head-to-head for our Game Pass. It'll be a Who Am I question. Al will be your quiz master. First two contestants through will be taking your calls after this break, and then Nathan Chapman to join us as well. Betstars and Stripes, of course, the Betstar Melbourne Golf Invitational kicks off the summer of golf this Monday, tomorrow. November 12 at Woodlands Golf Course, Australia's richest one-day Pro-Am. Features an amazing collection of top professionals and celebrities. An entry is just a gold coin donation to charity, and we'd love to see you there. We'll take a break and back with plenty.
This is Betstars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
It's easy to bet on the go with Betstar. Head to betstar.mobi and take them on anywhere, anytime. We've got our two quiz contestants on the line. We've got Dr. Turf, Alice Gander and Teo Palazzeri with me, Darren Parkin, here in the studio. Our first contestant up is Matt in Berwick. Matt, good evening. Hello, Matt. Actually, we've got Nick in Melton. Nick, you're our first contestant. Nick, good evening.
How you going?
Good. That was a good start by me. Hopefully yours is better. Nick, little buzzer test, which is, of course, your own name.
Nick.
Perfect. And now we've got Matt in Berwick. Matt, welcome aboard.
How are you?
Going well. Buzzer test for you as well.
Matt.
Perfect.
And Darren, would you like to test your buzzer?
Darren.
Perfect.
Okay, we're all good.
Now I know who's there.
Nick and Matt, I'm going to premise this because up until now we've misled you guys or we've led you down a path in that they've been NFL players. But from now on, they're going to be NFL, NBA, or baseball MLB players. So we're opening up the spectrum a little bit. So let's not be tunnel-visioned in our thoughts. As is always the case, the rules are I will read out the clues. When you know, just call the buzzer. You get a crack at the free answer. If you get it wrong, your opponent will get 2 free clues, and then you're both back in the competition again.
Are you going to tell them what sport they play first?
No.
Okay.
I have to help at the end. It's going to be pretty self-explanatory. The second clue will tell you. I was born in Brooklyn in 1984.
John. Sorry, no, go on.
I am a 3-time Olympic medalist. I am a 5-time NBA All-Star. I would play as a small forward. I won the 2003 National Championship with Syracuse University. Nick.
Carmelo Anthony.
Spot on, Nick. Well done, buddy.
Well done. Fantastic.
Very good, Nick. Nick, hang on the line. Tim will grab your details, mate, and someone from Betstar will ring you tomorrow, and we'll be able to get you an NFL or NBA Game Pass.
Oh, he
for
gets
the
to choose
season.
the pass,
He gets
too.
to choose as well. That's just how we roll at Betstar, Doc.
Well done.
Just all about accommodating the client.
Yes.
Fantastic, Nick. And just before we get to Nathan Chapman, who's on the line, there's a question in regards to betting as well. Matt's curious as to what the average amount of legs in a multi is that you would take. Would you give
that's
an
a
answer
good
to
question.
that? Or?
Great question. So if I had a guess, this is off instinct. We haven't dug up this fact, but if I had a guess, I would say it would be 3.6 legs in a multi.
I said 3 or 4 because if I have one, it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of doubles and things like that, and then you'd have a few outliers, people just trying to get 10 together and try and get...
If you're familiar with Scott Cooney, he's a 15 to 20 leg man.
Is he?
Tries to win $1 million every time.
And all the bookie wants is the first leg to go down.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's Friday night footy or something like that, don't you? Because you get them on the
I actually
lure,
lost
you just want them to have lots of legs.
I lost a sizable Betstar multi last night, and the reason I lost it is that Arsenal didn't beat Fulham, and they missed a penalty in stoppage time.
Can I tell you something?
So,
Dash, I had a multi last night, and Arsenal was the first leg of mine.
first there was, yeah.
And I was watching the highlights this morning and thought, beauty, penalty. Because they led 2-0 Arsenal as well. And then it ended up behind.
At home. Yeah.
And our boy, Mark Schwarzer, saved a miraculous penalty on the death knock.
He did. He still got it, but unfortunately didn't work out for me. Nathan Chapman joins us. A man played 76 AFL games with Brisbane and Hawthorn, travelled to the US and was recruited by the Green Bay Packers. He now runs Pro Kick Australia, which is an American football punting and place kicking school which trains and assesses Australians to the standard required for NCAA, NFL and CFL punting and place kicking positions. Nathan, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries, guys. Good to have a chat.
Now, I guess comparing your experience going back to around about 2004, the early parts, with I guess the level of attention Australia gets now. If you go back sort of 90s, 2000s to where we're at now with the level of attention, it seems to have been something that's evolved. I wouldn't say it's exploded, but evolved gradually over time.
Yeah, I think there's a fair bit more on TV, with the ESPN 1, 2 and 3 coming on board and Fox, and there's a lot more shows. They're showing a lot more of the college football. And now that families have got sons over in the US playing, there's a lot more interest. So it's really, it's grasped not just the sporting folk who, footy guys who like to watch it, but now it's families and all that getting involved in it too. So there's a lot more chatter about it, and I guess a lot more need to show what's going on over there.
Nathan, let's start with the ball itself, the NFL football, the nuances of it, because it's more of an AFL footy shape than, say, the NRL ball, but it's flatter sort of. It's not as, I don't know what the word is, but it is a different shape, isn't it? How does that actually affect, say, AFL guys holding it and trying to kick it for the first time?
It does make a fair bit of difference. It's the same length as an Aussie rules ball, but it obviously comes to a much sharper point on each end. Therefore, as it around the girth of it around the middle is the sweet spot's about a 20-cent piece. So when you take an Aussie rules style kick, and I'll call the torpedo as such, you've got a small amount of of sweet spot. So the way we normally kick the torp, where, arms are flying around one way and our legs trying to boot the crapper out of it, kicking up through it, it makes it really hard to hit that sweet spot consistently. So, one of the things that we have to do is retrain the way guys approach the football and kick with more, a little bit less effort, but, make sure they do find the sweet spot, a little bit like a golfer, a pro golfer has a really small sweet spot, but when they get it, that's why that ball travels so far.
Nathan, I remember when you first went to the NFL, you might have been interviewed on the Footy Show or one of the Australian football programs about how difficult it was just to get connections and get contacts and get your name, on a list of train-ons and trainees to even come in and punt. Has the link been strengthened, and what things have been done for people that do have the talent in Australia to be able to connect with the American scouts and the American colleges and teams that may otherwise just hit delete when certain emails and certain videos hit their inbox?
Yeah, look, they get so many emails, CDs, what used to be CDs, but now it's a lot of emails about film to watch this guy. And literally your stuff could get never seen just because of the amount of film that some of these recruiters have to go through. So you've got to try and gain their attention. And one of the reasons I started Pro Kick Australia, and now I do my work with John Smith, who's had a history in the game for the last 30 years, and he coaches our kicking side of it, is we made a number of connections, and I, from my point of view, made a number of connections while I was over there from the college coaching point of view and in the NFL. And by the time I'd left after trying for 2 or 3 years, a few coaches that I knew had changed teams, so it sort of just multiplied each year. And then I spoke to and initially started just wanting to help out 1 or 2 guys get across there. It became, well, if we do set up this pathway right, why can't we put young kids into college and get their education paid for and let them get experience in the game rather than make the mistakes I made and other guys had tried before, and literally, not understand the process and what you should be doing and what the technique was and all that type of thing, so that when you got over there and that they give you 15 balls to kick, that if they weren't your best 15 ever, you weren't going to walk out of there with a job. So it became a real, let's do things differently, and then we set up that process. But now it goes by word of mouth. We've got 16 guys in college. We'll put another 8 to 10 over in college this year. We've got Josh Bartell, who's just become an all-star in the CFL after his debut season. We've had Chris Bryan and Scott Crow go over there and have their go at a couple of the NFL teams. And So it's really branched out. Now it's literally becomes our name and reputation that knocks down a lot of doors.
Nathan, I guess when we look at recruitment in the AFL here, particularly over recent years, it seems to be getting much more sophisticated and scientific, and there's much more expertise in that whole process. When you compare what we do here, which obviously we're quite proud of, I mean, is the US just that one step further in terms of its sophistication and its intellect and its scientific approach to it? Is it just sort of, are we trending in that direction? They're just 5 years ahead of us?
Well, in some areas I would say that they have the ability with the amount of staff that they have. They do need to look after. Well, their pre-season holds up to 100 players on their roster that they can evaluate, and they can sign you today, cut you tomorrow, and then pick you up the next day, and it's a continual cycle of who is the best guy for our team. And if you don't train well, you get let go, and you find a place on another team. So it is a vicious cycle of. I guess I've been on a journey of maybe being on 4 or 5 different teams in the space of 6 months for the guys on the outer. Australian rules football sports science is ahead. So in the way that they look after their players in the AFL, from a recovery and fitness side of view, it's ahead. But I guess in terms of their recruiting and I guess the amount of money that they need to look after in terms of their player salaries and that type of thing it's probably, not anything close to what the AFL is. They're so far ahead in that sense, but they do have more staff to get a lot more done across the country.
Nathan, one thing I find fascinating is when there are good college coaches that are talked about that could potentially go to the pros, one thing that's often mentioned is the lack of time they get to interact with pro players, limitations on how long players can train, and certain restrictions that in college don't exist. And having now seen how it works in both, is it something that might be completely foreign to us Australians about the literally professional nature of a US sporting team, the idea that you may have no friends in a team, it may literally just be a job, but also the clock's on, you only train for so long, you only do so many reps and things like that. And is it poles apart from Australia, or are there still some tangible similarities that we could probably relate to with local sporting clubs or the AFL clubs here?
Well, I think you're always trying to find the best way to manage your list to get them through a season. It's a violent sport over there, so they do talk about not training too much and what's expected from a professional player. And you can't have any coaches on the field at certain times of the day. And in college, it's still the same, where they get a period of, in January they might get 14 days out of January where they're allowed to go out and recruit. And if a player can ring them up, but they can't ring a player back. So do have some pretty heavy restrictions on the recruiting cycle. And a lot of that going through the college system is just so that the kids do still, focus on the football, and agents and NFL teams can't talk to them until their second last year, their junior year in the college system. I think it's the Players Association that makes sure, from a playing point of view, that they are well looked after and they're not expected to do more harm or damage from their body than, I guess, in the past what's been presented as being the normal or the limit. It can be a case of what looks good on paper doesn't necessarily work out on the paddock, the toll that the body has to go through. So it's a case of letting everything, it's a case of making sure that all the players are looked after.
One final one for me, just a two-parter. When you look at AFL games now, do you see blokes and think, gee, this guy's got what it takes? Are there guys that you pinpoint in the AFL now that we perhaps haven't had linked to this that you think could maybe make a fist of that? And I guess the second part of that question, Scott Harding travelling very, very well, but in the role of a wide receiver, which is obviously very different to what we've seen in the past with the Australian players heading overseas.
Okay, so normally, look, our program